Hi guys, today we are going to try and show how familiar Pact5 damage is calculated and dealt. We are going to try and make it as simple as possible. Um, these are the familiars that we're gonna be looking at today, the range ones, and it is very important to remember that this damage is unique to every single situation, to every single battle. It is calculated right before the battle starts and applied as the battle progresses. Um, the replays of of Lord's battles are not always 100% accurate. They are known to be flawed. It is um, it is not 100% accurate, but it does show most most of the part that we need for today's video. So to make this very simple and very straightforward, we will be using camps and we will be using straightforward numbers that are easy to replicate and easy to measure up, right? Um, so this is the composition that we're gonna be using for the defender, and we're going to hit this with the range march, right? So if this is the composition, right, that we put down on the camp, we're gonna be in infantry wedge, right, to make sure that the cavalry is all the way in the back, right, and we're gonna be also attacking in range wedge, right, in infantry wedge, my bad. So this is gonna be our baseline, right? We put in the buffers, and we're gonna be using 2,000 troops as attackers. This does not scale up exactly to full marches, but it will still show us the same result that we need, right? Okay, so let's pull this camp back because we will need to put out the fresh one, right? So this is our baseline. This is our baseline. 36 injuries without Pact5 familiars, right? 36 injuries on the defender side. Because as you can see here, the invading troops never get past the infantry, which is the first line of defense, right? So to demonstrate just pure Pact5 damage, which again this is gonna be very different for every single account because it takes into consideration base stats. So this is gonna be the base stats that the Pact5 familiars are gonna be using to calculate the damage because the leader is not deployed in the march, right? So let's see how this looks like. So we put down the same camp again, which is gonna be 4,000, 4,000, 8,000, right? This time we will be adding the Pact5 familiars without the leader again. So pure pure damage from the Pact5 familiars with the same march of range again, right? So we have to pull this camp back again, and as you can see, the damage dealt is much higher. The difference here, as you're gonna see, this was 36 injuries towards the infantry, which is the first line of defense, right? We dealt a little bit more damage to the front line, but the majority of our damage was dealt to the back line, which is the cavalry, right? Because if you read the description on these Pact5 familiars, it says that it attacks one of the largest squads, right? Which in this case we illustrated it pretty simply to be cavalry, right? Just so we can show this easier, right? So the next way to show um, this exactly is gonna be putting down this same camp, this time including a leader, so that the gear stats also apply, right? So now um, our leader is gonna be joining the battle, and our stats from the gear will be applying this time to the camp, right? So we're gonna be including the leader, and we're gonna be including these two Pact5 familiars, right? Again, shit. So we will be doing the same test again, just this time we will also be including leaders in this, right? Just the leader, no familiars on the defense, just the leader, right? On the offense, we will be in gear, fully stacked out on range, and same thing again, we're just adding the leader, right? So the Pact5 familiars and the leader, right? And we're going to attack. So let's see how this scales up, right? As you can see, the damage increased. Um, what changes here is, since we included the leader, the stats from the gear also apply, right? So now it's calculating not just the base stats, it's also adding the stats from the gear, and it's calculating the stats of the invading gear versus the defending gear, right? To illustrate this further, we're going to remove one piece of the gear, which is gonna be 79% range attack and range HP and range defense, right? Which is all included in the initial calculations, right? So we're going to unequip this, and we're going to run the same thing again. So we add the leader. And as we can see here, once this battle is finished, we will see that the damage dealt is lower, which is what we were trying to show here. Is the bigger your stats, the more damage you do with the Pact5 familiars, right? We could also illustrate this by changing the defender's gear. It would do the same thing. It would make damage bigger, right? Because as you take your stats away from your defending castle, or your defending camp in this situation, right? You're making the damage of the Pact5s bigger. So to demonstrate this further, we can do the same march of the camp with the leader. This time we will be removing cavalry stats, which the easiest way to do this is, let's just say we unequip this helmet, right? And we're gonna use the same rage gear. And again, we will just be adding the hero and the two Pact5 familiars, right? What we're gonna see here is gonna be the damage dealt is gonna increase because we took away cavalry stats, because the damage is calculated by the range stat of the attacker versus the cavalry stat of the defender when the damage is dealt, right? So as we can see here, the damage increased significantly, right? Compared to this hit where we took away one of the range pieces, and this was just pure gear on gear, right? So this was 246 versus 259, which basically illustrates that taking away defenders' stats in cavalry makes the damage go up, right? Um, you could illustrate this in other ways. This is basically just to show that the damage very much is affected by the gear that is being used, and that every single stat point that you add to the attacker also increases the damage. So yeah, that would be about it. I don't know if there's any more things to show regarding this. What we could show here is the way, or what I could try and explain is the way the Pact5s deal the damage. So one of the things that that people seem to get wrong is the way the 150% deal their damage, right? So this is 150% familiar, the B. As you can see, once the troops have fallen to activate it, this stinging swarm gets activated, and the only requirement for this to pop 5 times is for the battle to last long enough, right? So the only thing that the familiar needs is time in which it can deal the damage that it's supposed to, right? So if we go back and read what the familiar says, it deals 150% damage every 4 seconds for up to 5 times, right? So once it pops, it needs 4 more pops, right? For it to deal the max amount of damage, right? And as you can see here, the damage is based on your initial range attack when 8% of your troops have fallen. So yeah, basically that just says what we just showed in the video, where taking stats away makes the damage less because it's based off of your initial range attack, right? The 600% familiars, they do work differently. They pop only once, and once only for that single battle, right? But they pop faster. They only need 4% of your troops to fall for them to activate, right? And they do more damage. Well, they do more damage if the 150% familiars don't have the full duration of their skill getting activated. So what that basically means is the 150% familiars will do more damage if they have the required time for all of the damage to be dealt. So if the battle is going to last long enough for the 150% stacking familiar, or Pact5 familiar rather, to deal all of its damage, it will deal more damage than the 600% familiars, right? So to further illustrate this, right, we will be this time using more troops as the attacker to make sure that we get all 5 procs off the 150% familiar, right? So same setup in the camp again, right? Same setup, 448. And this time we will be sending an additional 200 range troops to make sure that the Pact5 150% familiar does get all 5 of its attacks, right? Which will basically show us what we just talked about, which is that the 150% does deal more damage if and only if it gets to use all 5 of its procs, right? So let's see. Alright, let's go take a look. So this was Blackwing 189, and this was B 203. And we can see the difference here, because Blackwing in this case, where we had the lower amount of troops, did more damage than the B. And if we go ahead and take a look at this replay real quick, we will be able to see that the B doesn't get to use its 5th attack. Therefore, it doesn't get to deal all of its damage, right? So here's the B, it picks a random enemy squad, right? And you can see every time this venom dust, or whatever you want to call it, the mist, like dissipates like this, is when the B is using the attacking damage, right? So we will be able to see that in this other case, right, where B did do more damage than the Blackwing, it got to proc all five of its attacks, right? So let's see. It is proccing now, yep. So it picked a squad, it attacked the squad, and it's ticking down. Ticking down slowly, ticking down slowly. And you see, it's about to finish before the battle. You could see it there. It finished its attacks before the battle finished, therefore dealing more overall damage, right? Which is basically what we wanted to illustrate there, right? Again, like I said, the replays are not 100% accurate all the time. They do have their flaws, but they do a decent enough job of showing how these familiars work, right? So before we finish this off, let's just real quick include another thing that somebody else said would be good to show, which is how do army stats affect these tests and affect these damages dealt by the Pact5 familiars, right? The easiest way to show this is pop an army attack boost on the invader side, right? And we're using the same setup, right? Same setup as last time with the additional 200 troops in ranged, right? And we should be able to see a difference here in this one compared to the one right before that. This is 207 and this was 203 damage. Again, same familiar, everything else stayed the same. We just popped an army attack boost, right? Another thing is fury stats on the defender side as well also take effect. This is stats without fury right now. When we do fury up for the same test, it will also change the outcome on these tests, right? So now we have fury on this account, where as in all of these other tests we didn't, right? So let's release the leader real quick and run that same test again with an army attack boost on, right? Same thing as before. Still in range gear. Pull the cam back and let's see. As you can see, it affected it a lot. The difference is, let's just delete this scout real quick so we can scroll faster through it. So as you can see, nothing else changed except for the Fury stats, and this is the difference. So the difference is about 15% or so of less damage dealt, right? Both of the accounts have identical research. They both have max Fury stats, max everything. So that doesn't that only goes to show you how the debuffs and everything do take into effect when this damage is calculated, right? Thank you very much for watching this video. If you think I made any kind of mistake, if you think there was a better way to show this, if you think that I didn't do a good job of explaining this, please do leave a comment down below. I would really like to hear about it. And again, thank you very much for watching, and see you guys in the next one. Bye.